Thank you, Jason, and thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to forget to be loud enough for the people in the back, so please wave once I get quiet again. I hope you can hear me now, at least. All right, so yeah, Daniel Pritchett. I'm into chatbots, have been for years now. Started out doing them in JavaScript. Recently switched to doing them in Ruby. Yeah. Hello. Okay. Our podcast producer, Ben, back there, loves this. I'm gonna cough over here. Okay, so let's do it again. Daniel Pritchett. I'm gonna try to speak up. Please let me know if I'm missing the sound. First off, I want to thank Jason, Shannon, and Beckett. I couldn't find a new picture, so I got the baby in the corner. But really glad y'all are here. Appreciate all your work. And honestly, thank you to everybody else putting this on. I know Michael's been doing a lot of work, and there's lots of volunteers and sponsors, so thank you. Be remiss without mentioning the Memphis Ruby group. A lot of us are here, including Jason, Michael, Josh. Been a big help. I think Josh made this cool logo. He's the best. So here we are. I have a nice outline because I'm going to forget where this talk is going, and this is going to remind me, and hopefully it'll keep you all engaged. So first off, why chatbots? I like chatbots because first off, I'm a programmer. I like computers. I like shiny things. I like to automate stuff. And I'm guessing most of you don't know, but I'm also hearing impaired. I've got 2 cool hearing aids hidden right here. And I've had them since 3rd grade. And I think I don't always get along with face-to-face conversations like meeting 20 new friends in a bar. I do my best, it's fun, but I do better in a small group or even better chatting. So here I am sending a whole lot of Slack messages every day. I have to moderate that because I do have a job. And thank you everybody for putting up with that. So hearing aids are fun and cool. Recently decided to talk about that more so people can understand that maybe they know people who have slightly different experiences in life and they can not be scared. I've noticed as people get older, if someone gets their first set of hearing aids when they're 60, they tend to have a bit more denial and refusal of that because for them it's a sign of their advancing mortality. And for me, I've had them my whole life, so it's just the way it is. But I have one of these things, super cool, with my hearing aids. It's basically like AirPods, so I've got a Bluetooth connection between a phone and that thing and my hearing aids. And so that's led me towards what makes chatbots cool, and that is chat is just a medium. And we are mostly here Ruby programmers, so before I go too far, who here has written a Ruby program? Hands up. Excellent. Who here has worked on a chatbot in any format? Great. I was going to ask who's published a gem, but I already know. So that's the 4th part of the presentation I can skip right through. And who here has ever written a specific chatbot skill to make the bot do a new thing it couldn't do before you got into it? Excellent. That is the main point of this talk is if you're a programmer, you may not realize that chatbot skills are very easy to write. Assuming you can program anything, I think you can also program cool chatbot tricks. So here we are. What is a chatbot? Any of you who don't already know, general purpose chatbots are pretty familiar. If you've used Slack, there's a Slack bot. It'll tell you, it'll give you reminders. You can ask it, hey, remind Ben in an hour to remind me to publish the podcast on Monday. So that happens. IRC bots, these are more my wheelhouse, just making one bot do a million vaguely related goofy things. There are special purpose bots. Well, so Hubot, yeah, out of order with the slides. Yeah, special purpose bots. There's some that'll do one thing, like Slightbot does a few different things, but the reminders are probably everyone's favorite. There can be things like, say, I want to buy airplane tickets to somewhere. You tell it who you are, where you're going, dates, and it'll help you out. There's one that you can have other people talk to on your behalf that say, I want to get time on Josh's calendar, that send Josh's bot an email, and it all get worked out. And then Josh gets the final thumbs up, thumbs down. Like, hey, Josh, you've got coffee tomorrow at 8 with Daniel, yes or no? So that's the thing. And this is all huge general purpose bot stuff. If you're interested in all of that beyond stupid bot tricks, which is, again, why we're here, go read this book. Just came out. You'll love it. Back up a bit. Hubot, where I first got started. Writing bot skills. It's released by GitHub. It's used in-house for doing chat ops type stuff. And it might be something like, find me a map here, or tell me the status of the build there. It's a really interesting place in the software marketplace because it's written in JavaScript, but it's really published as CoffeeScript. And the way the skills, per se, are organized, I'm going to show you all. the way it looks. So you've got a repo, it's full of JavaScript. Mine's probably got some Ruby in there because I've not put as much time in on getting good at JavaScript. But you look at this folder. This is the scripts folder. Each one of these is a single skill for the bot. So let's say you want to ask the bot to do a specific thing. You have this format. You're exporting a JavaScript module. You say, when the bot hears the phrase pug me, then it hits this endpoint, grabs the URL, and replies in the chat. So that's the core of the bot experience. So what I discovered, taking this bot and putting it in a public IRC channel a few years ago, and then giving it continuous integration deployment with Heroku and GitHub, is that people who don't know or care about GitHub or Heroku or continuous integration, but do like goofing around in chat rooms, started submitting patches. Like they'd go to the GitHub UI, register, log in, click edit, and suddenly they're making new jokes, new toys. So that was a fun experience for me. It felt like a community-oriented programming platform. Now, again, this is mostly lowbrow, but it can still bring people together. So I did that. Let's see. Tricks. I think this is one, yeah, that was built by a WordPress developer out of Memphis who had almost certainly never used CoffeeScript before, but he really wanted to make this happen, and it's one of my favorites. I'm going to see if I can find a way to get into it. I'll save that for later. So let's get back here. We've got Hubot, but here we're all for a Ruby conference. About February, I went to Tennessee, or Nashville Python, Tennessee conference here in Nashville. And I gave a talk on something boring and technical. I think it was Let's Encrypt, and I used Flask as the vehicle for that. But I also decided to give a 5-minute lightning talk on chatbots. And that's when I realized that stupid bot tricks were more exciting for a room of 50 people than the next new technology that you'll probably be using at work but isn't going to be exciting. So went home, decided to write a book on it. A month in, I realized that the book was never going to get finished because I'd committed to writing it in JavaScript, and I'm still not good enough to finish the JavaScript book on a regular timeline. So back to the drawing board, did some research. I found a bot framework, Lita, written in Ruby. It works sort of like Hubot. It lacks a little bit of the super low friction approach of copying and pasting a single file, typing in 3 lines, and seeing it work. So it might not be as accessible to someone who can barely program at all. But if you're already, say, in the Rails world, and you're used to building things that are modular and maybe have RSpec files to prove that it does what it says, which makes me feel good for the book's purposes, because I want people to know that the code they're writing is going to work, and I want them to trust that what I'm writing does what it says. So Lita's there. It does all that. And we're going to go through what you can do with Lita, just a few examples of things I've been writing you can all try. Here we are, this section, how do I start a bot? This is the meat of the talk. We're going to learn about Lita. It's got the core bot. You'll download the Lita gem with the gem install Lita. It'll generate a whole folder of stuff for you. So let me show you what I've got. Here is the Lita bot that hosts the book. Oh yeah. I don't know what all that is. The smoothness. Sounds cool though. Yeah, so the basic bot is the gems. It's got its own rake file. Somewhere there's a Lita config file at the root level, and that's basically all it takes is you've got your gem hidden wherever bundler put the gems, and you just run a bundle exec Lita, and then you can run my very first teaching skill here. So you could say bookbot double 2, and it doubles a number for you. So I'm guessing those of you who raised your hands as having written Ruby before could probably write a 2 + 2 function. So let's back out and see exactly what that looks like. And here's the Lita doubler. I'm going to skip through all the boilerplate to get right to the meat of it. This is the simplest Lita skill I could imagine. I don't know if this is going to help, but you got your route declaration here. That's saying LitaBot listen for the word double inside a regular expression. Then it's capturing whatever comes after. And then the second param here is double. So we're taking the number and passing it to this handler method. I'm suddenly regretting using double, but I don't think Ruby's decimals call themselves double, so I might get away with it this time. So yeah, now I'm doing some ugly hacks and looking mean, this is obviously not something I'd pass code review with, but it digs into this regular expression match data, finds the number, coerces it to an integer, and then spits that out. So that is the bare bones. You're writing one call for listen to this, tease out the parameters from your plain text, and then you're writing your handler method. And this is just part of the boilerplate. The skills are defined as classes in and of themselves, and I guess they register themselves at boot time. So the bot knows that not only does the skill exist, but you intend to use it. Yeah. Sometimes in Vim I can open, I didn't even touch it. Awesome. Yes. So that was cool. I didn't expect sound, but that's good because there was something I wanted to show you all with sound later. I'm going to dig into a little bit more complicated leader skill after I check my slides to see. Oh yeah, did you know there's one you can do daytime now? I was going to build this for you, decided not to, but basically take the code here. This is just me, this is my process. Figure out, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it in pride. Figure out, somebody's going to ask Lita, what's the time? So you write a route that says blah, 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 Lita time. Pass it to your datetime method, which just spits this out. So that would be not too bad. This is where you get into building your own. Lita has generators for you. This is the Lita handler generator. Once you've installed the gem, you've started your bot, you want to build your first skill, like the doubler I showed before. You run Lita handler, what time is it? It generates this whole tree of files. It could put them on Travis for you. It could put them on simple cov to check your test coverage. Can you all see that? Because I can. Okay, not bad. And eventually I'm going to rake release it. Or at least I was going to, but I might skip that because you already know how. So this is what you get. Honestly, there's only 3 files that matter right out of the box. This one is the implementation that I just showed you with the doubler skill. This one is the core test file, which you can get away with. And honestly, when I was using Hubot, we hardly tested any of it. And that got awkward over time when I started building middleware. Like say, ask Urban Dictionary to define something, and you get 10 paragraphs of response, and I want to not get kicked out of the IRC room, so I snip it, trim it down to a few hundred characters and link to an external URL. That was great until I built it poorly, and it just started breaking. So tests, we're going to do that. And finally, there's a gem spec. This one is not quite as respectable as the ones we saw in the presentation before lunch, but I'll show you what you get out of the box. You get your to-dos, you got to punch in a name and email. I could have done a little better with that, but it goes to my GitHub repo, and I think it comes probably out of the box, which is good, because that's how I do my trial and error development. And no version file here, I'm just manually incrementing this. So if you logged into a console and asked my gem what version it was, it might not know, couldn't tell you. It's not self-aware yet. Seen that? Yeah, specs. So let's talk about what they look like. Looks like I wasn't going to show you the specs, so here we get to see live specs. Let's do Lita, what's Brad eating? And I'm going to try and do a demo on that one, because that was one of my first favorite Slack skills, or bot skills I wrote for Hubot, since ported it to Lita here. Here's my private Slack community, which you're all welcome to join for the many people who've read the 4 chapters I've written for my book. So if I asked a bot, what's Brad eating, assuming I'm remembering this, it's going to tell us, maybe. Oh, so the bot's asleep because it's a free Heroku dyno. Yeah, right? So let's try this real fast. And wait for that to turn green. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you guys about what's Brad eating. It's a Tumblr blog. One of our favorite programmers in Memphis, Brad Montgomery's has been a co-organizer of PyTennessee here. He exercises a lot, and he cooks really healthy food for himself. So if you want to be jealous and maybe feel a little insecure about your lifestyle, check out what Brad ate most recently. Come on, bot. All right. So the bot's alive and doesn't even love me. Let's give it an easier question. Okay, good, good. Now we're going to see what's Brad eating on Tumblr. This is what I wanted to show you. Find the first post. It actually pulls down the HTML, parses it with Nokogiri, digs out the first item, gets the image, gets the caption. So oh wow, the bot has been talking. Nope, different bot. That's work Slack. Nobody hit me up on work Slack right now. Okay, So we're going to check out what Brad's been eating here. Probably going to hear some nice boops out of Vim. Start with the blog. This one you can see is a lot more detailed. I broke it down piece by piece because I thought I was supposed to until I heard Sandy Metz on a podcast a few months ago say that I've gone too far. So I'm a little embarrassed there. But here we are with my one-line methods. And the core is the route listens for the phrase, what's Brad eating? Which I thought I said that right. I'll try it again. Maybe it'll work the first try. I don't really have much faith at this point. What's Brad eating? Probably failing silently, so sorry to show you guys that. Could have sworn I did that one at the console the other day. But here we are. It hits this. The Brad eats command starts the top level, reads in the response, strips this out. I think I had to dig in and find that match data was happening, so I don't have first dot, first dot, first anymore. So a little bit more proud of that. But we're digging in one method at a time. We're getting out the actual text from image. Man, I don't even know. I'm going to show you the test because this made more sense reading it upside down. Cool. So let's ask Brad eats what's going on, and you send what's Brad eating, and the response is basically a URL including insert.jpg. So happy about that. There are two routes we're checking. It's supposed to be cap sensitive, but as you can see, it doesn't respond to anything. You can look in the book, maybe when it comes out, to find how to turn on the debugging. It's just a one-line flag for Lita. It comes in pretty handy if you make a handler and then nothing happens. Honestly, this happens every time to me. I say, I did this, nothing happened. Is it because my handler just failed silently? That's usually it. But sometimes it's that I wrote a bad route because regular expressions are not exactly my specialty. But Lita will tell you in the log, you just said this, it didn't match any of the known regular expressions, just so you know, when you turn the logs up to debug, that's useful. Other times they'll say, I did match that, and they'll tell you which handler it went to, and then you have to sort of infer that somewhere down here I'm swallowing a network error maybe, or Tumblr's gotten wise to metrics, who knows? Maybe they changed the CSS. So here we're parsing the response. I think, Lita's using the Faraday gem under the hood, so it makes a GET request, pulls all this down. You've got one big string, parse it as HTML. Here I'm asserting that the response method pulled down some HTML, and then it had at least one image tag. You could probably break that with some white space that your browser would like, but my client wouldn't. Who knows? Maybe that's what they did. There's a caption. Then we parse it with Nokogiri, I think. Yeah. So you get back a Ruby object that responds to a CSS method, which is good because I use selectors in here to find the first post. And it's amazingly recursive. The first post that I got out with the CSS selector also lets me dig in to find the content inside it. So that's your first object. These are just super low-level tests. I'm just testing this object. Does it do what I think it should? The one you're going to want to know if you're writing your own Lita code is this one right here, send message. This is more at the integration test level. I send this line in chat. Lita responds to what I expect. So that's outside of the bot. Like the actual bot's instantiated, you're sending a message, you're waiting to get back what you expect. These are just simple unit tests. This method does the thing I want in isolation. And then, of course, you'll need these. So that's testing. Still really sad about what's Brad eating. I'm tempted to try it a fifth time, but I don't know. Fingers crossed, everybody. What's Brad eating? No, it's the worst.
Is one of your codes curly and the other one not?
Curly?
Like doing the smartphone thing?
Oh, maybe. You know what we could do is maybe Slack did it to me and they replaced my quote. Whoa, yes, there we go. Same code, promise. Running locally. This is what Brad's eating. Cholula, which is currently my favorite after a brief fling with sriracha. But Cholula's where it's at. And yeah, here's the caption. Hashtag breakfast. Good job, Brad. Doing okay on time, so let's keep going with the slides. I'm going to peek ahead. Let's do notes on deployment. I did a drive under this a few days ago at work, and first question I got was, how do you get from having Lita code on your machine to Lita out in the wild where your friends or coworkers can use it, your adoring fans, let's say. The go-to for me nowadays is Slack, because my favorite IRC channel moved to Slack a few years ago. Log into Slack, there's a customized Slack channel button available. I think it's to everybody and not just admins, which is part of why Slack is so viral, I guess. So you log in, you click on the search app directory, you find Lita. It actually has a special Lita integration, which I guess is cool because it makes me feel nice. It's got this icon, and my bookbot, I believe, is also using the icon, so that's all cool. Once you register it, it gives you a Slack API key. So I'm going to show you guys all of my cool secrets. This bot knows a specific API key that when it logs into the Slack central servers, it says, here's my key. I don't think the bot actually knows or cares which channel it's connecting to. Slack just routes it there based on the token it has, so it shows up where I generated the thing. Here's an API password, so I'll probably get banned for that one. And this isn't even my password anymore. But, oh yeah. Right. I hope someone's got some OCR going. This will be fun for a next talk about what went wrong when I shared all my passwords in front of 50 people. Quick sidebar here. Lita does assume Redis by default. Hubot has it as pretty much an expectation. There's a Hubot brain plugin because people need to have some persistence. That's going to segue into another gem that I built because we were talking at work about getting into the voice assistant business. And I've since decided that voice assistants are basically chatbots with just another name. You've got, let's say I'm paying Microsoft to handle the Siri end of things. You yell into a microphone, and the machine spits out plain text. So if you can give me plain text, I can write up your chatbot, and I'm happy. So that's the pitch that I've been going with at work. This is a Lita Alexa news publisher. I'm going to go ahead and show you the sound I was promising. I really have no idea if it's going to work, so let's check it out. Recorder. Hello, clear function.
Added your message to Lita's flash briefing. Hello, clear function.
Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing. From Daniel's BookBot Slack channel. Hello, clear function. That's all from your flash briefing.
Okay, so that's two skills. One of them is, originally was allowing me to talk at a bot and say, from within a Slack channel, post this to my message feed. And that all is a really goofy data structure I put together in Redis, which you're about to see. This is the publisher. So what's going on here is when you talk to Alexa, you've got to log into Amazon's page, say I want to make an Alexa skill. There's two main categories. There's the flash briefing, which is just basically RSS, but it reads it out loud to you. You can hear the latest from a real news source or from this one. So when you ask Alexa what's in the news, it pulls your sources one at a time, just like your Google Reader would have done years ago. It comes to my Heroku endpoint. Oh yeah, I never did tell you guys about the publishing. So suffice to say, it's on Heroku, and it's far and away my recommendation. You have this, it's just maybe 20 commands to get it out there on Heroku, and if you get stuck, call me and I'll walk you through it. Josh probably will too. Hi, Josh. So yeah, Alexa reaches out and asks where or what's going on here. I think I have this URL saved in my browser because I'm not going to remember it. Yeah, great. So here is sample text from a few days ago in Luxembourgish. Yeah. So this is a JSON object formatted for whatever Alexa says they need. There's an API page that tells you how to do it. But in my case, I just really wanted to get these two words out of the chatbot, squeeze it through the sausage factory, and come out on the other side in the way Alexa wants it. So this is published here. And oh yeah, that's Alexify. So given I have a single string, let's make it big and fancy for Alexa. So that all works. I figured out in the writing of the companion skill, which is the one where you say, Alexa, I want you to post a message. So what happens here is this other skill, Alexa is going to take the dictation, as I mentioned earlier. Someone else is responsible for hiring the PhDs to understand how to convert sound waves into words. I'm just taking the words that they give me. So you talk to your Alexa, and it posts here, and it'll have another even bigger payload. which I'm tempted to show you, but anyway, let's just say it's 20 lines, and one of them is Alexa, say hello, clear function, I guess. That shows up here. This one grabs it, teases it out of your incoming payload, and then here, this is actually sending something to a robot-wide event bus. There's just a save Alexa message that's been declared in this companion skill. So I've published these as two separate Ruby gems, and this one sends this off into the ether. There are no callbacks, so we're assuming someone's out there that's registered this name and is going to listen. A little awkward there, but so far it hasn't broken down. There may be a point where I'd feel bad about that if it were some sort of mission-critical system. But anyway, this one's taking the text, sending it through the bot, down, and then back up to this one, and saving the message. Puts it in Redis. There's built-in get and set operations for simple Redis work, using some of the lower-level Redis primitives like the arrays with the right push and left pop and things like that. I had to use a singleton Lita object to back out and get Redis and come back in, but it works. The team at work mostly has done way more .NET than me and a bit less Ruby, so they saw this, and apparently that was noteworthy. I'm guessing everybody on the front row has a better way to do this. I know Josh has showed me a lot of problems in some of my other code, but this is just catching and retrying a few times, saving an instance variable. If it fails, give up after a while. I can't remember why I thought that the third retry would be more likely to succeed than the first, but I wrote that out, so it must have made sense at the time. I'm coming up on 30 minutes. The Alexa stuff's pretty wild, so I'm going to get back to the slides. Oh yeah, deployment. The official docs say deploying with Docker is recommended. There's an official Docker Lita image. You probably just have your gem file and your Lita config. If you remember, the repo I was showing you had hardly anything in there. One thing you might find useful if you're doing prototype development is being able to type out the whole word. Yeah, here, if you have a gem that you're just building locally, you can do a local path. Say add that, and now it's going to back up one directory and then find the plugins we were just looking at, and then you can use the local copy. There's probably a better way to do that, but that's where I'm working right now. Finally, we've got the doubler. We've got image flip macro maker. That one was pretty fun. Had to do some meta programming. I'm going to save it for later, but just for the interests of demonstration, BookBot should be able to make an aliens guy using the image flip API. So that still works. And this is 90% of what the chatbots I write do is goofy stuff, passing the time. We had text-to-speech where we'd type insults to each other in the office Sonos, we'd read them out loud. It used to remind us when it was time for stand-up, which I kind of miss. We might get that back one day. But that's a pretty cool skill. There's a lot to be seen. I guess I'm going to show you, it's on Ruby Gems. I'm going to search for image flip, maybe. Turns out somebody else wrote this exact same code like years ago, and I didn't notice until after I finished mine. Ours are different. I'm sure the other one's got its own merits. But anyway, so this is here. If you're curious, you can go to Ruby Gems and search for Lita, find any of these, ask me, I'll be happy to talk to you about them. Got 94% coverage on this super important tool. We're good there. What's Brad eating? Still proud of that one. I have no idea why Slack can't get to Tumblr. Wait a minute. Maybe no, it's Heroku. My Heroku bot can't get to Tumblr, but my laptop here at this venue can. I'll have to figure that one out. This one's fun because you're taking the bot out and doing weird stuff. We once wrote one where we had a bot skill that was driving a Sphero robot. So it's kind of like if you've ever seen Twitch plays, you can watch people play video games and they'll say, I don't know, punch, kick, turn left, turn right. That's what you're doing for the bot. You'd say, bot, turn left, and it'd roll 5 feet that way. Wired that up to a live video stream. Had a lot of fun. This one's the other half of the publish-recorder pair. This is the one where you send the message back. Now we're to the end, which I'm going to zip right through this one because you've already seen it. My first gem I built years ago, I just copied somebody else's directory structure, and I had all kinds of path issues, which I still don't understand. So I'm glad to know that Bundle will make the new skeleton for you, and Rake Release will get it out there for you. This is what it looks like when you run it. You get your version tagged and pushed and deployed after building the .gem file. And here it is, right there on Ruby Gems. One last thing I wanted to address, a rumor. An earlier speaker told you that some of the numbers were bots. I want you to know, mine are all real. 769 people wanted to use the Lead a Doubler. It's super important, keeping lots of businesses running. That was a lie. Okay, I'm done now. We have a podcast at work called It Depends. We recently did an episode about chatbots. If you want to hear more about chatbots outside of the scope of Ruby and Lida, go here. You can listen for an hour. Mo and Ben were on that one, right? Thanks, guys. And yeah, the company brought me here and is giving me a sweet hotel room. Good to see you guys. I think they were a sponsor. That's everything. Not going to see this book before next year, but now that I'm done with this, that's one less commitment, so I'll be right back to it tonight or tomorrow. And that's it for me. Thank you, everybody.